the Hard Rocker Coaches Show. I'm Adam Thomsen. With me, as always, is Richard Anderson, and of course, head football coach Charlie Flohr. Alongside him, Jayden Johannsen, the quarterback here at South Dakota Mines. A tough weekend, I would say. A very close game on Saturday, Coach. And how would you sum up the game on Saturday?
Obviously, from my standpoint, upset that we lost. I felt the two teams were very evenly matched, even going into the game. Going back and rewatching the game after watching it live, it was probably one of the, like you mentioned, the most evenly matched games. One of the cleanest games I've ever been a part of. I think there was 4 or 5 penalties in that game. There were no turnovers. It was just a good, hard-fought college football game. There's a lot of things, obviously, that we thought we could have done better and we'll continue to fix. But, just proud of our kids and how they showed up. It was a tough road trip. It's not a place that's really close. We had to make it a 2-day trip, in the week that we'd had with, some smoke and some adversity from that standpoint. Just proud of how our kids prepared for the week and then going down and played a hard-fought Truman State team. And, would love to come away with a victory, but we were a couple minutes too short. So,
and that was the one thing on the broadcast that they mentioned was the amount of penalties on both teams. It seems like it was very small, especially with how tight of a game that is. What do you contribute that to?
I think a lot of it is just overall discipline within the programs. I've known their head football coach for a long period of time, and I know that's one of his staples of being a good coach is your team's got to be very disciplined in order to win some of those critical football games. And, I would like to think that our team is pretty well disciplined with the amount of stuff that we stress within practice and how we handle things. And, I that's where I give a lot of the credit is to the kids, is their focus on the details and the amount of effort and work that they put into the game to make sure that they know what's going on, both pre-snap and then post-snap too. So, two very close football teams, and I think a lot of the discipline beforehand had a lot to do with the lack of penalties in that game.
Well, Coach, you mentioned the long trip going down there, and you're playing a very good team, but you started really well. I mean, I think on the first possession you went down and scored, and just a back and forth. I think you had 4 leads in the game, something like that.
Yeah, it was a tough trip. We broke it up. We actually left Thursday and went down to Council Bluffs, Iowa, stayed the night, and then stopped and practiced at Northwest Missouri for about an hour and a half, and then drove all the way over. But it's still, it's a 12-hour bus ride, no matter how you look at it. So, that's the one thing we had stressed to our kids is that was our number one goal, or the keys to victory that we talk about every week is, what are our keys to victory for that game? And our number one thing is we had to start fast, knowing they were going to have a really good crowd. It was their first game at home, so for them having that home opener against a very quality opponent. We got down 13-0 last year when we had played them, so we knew if we could go down there and jump on the board early, it would help our cause. And, we started out 7-0, they went down and scored, and then at one point it was a 14-7 ball game, and we just couldn't put a few drives together offensively to make it a 21-7 football game. So, it was a big key for us, as we knew if we were going to win, we had to go down and start fast.
Well, in these type of games, sometimes it's whoever has the ball last, and you had that chance, that last, as they took the 28-24 lead with about 4.5 minutes to go. I mean, realistically, that's plenty of time for you to go down and score. And, you're kind of on your way, but just didn't quite pull it out.
Yeah, obviously from my standpoint as the head coach, those are tough decisions. We were down 28-24 with about 4 minutes to go. We were on our half of the 40-yard line, and if we were maybe a little bit closer on that third down, or just I may have went for it, but I knew I still had all 3 timeouts left, and if we could change the field, which we did, it definitely gave our potential offense a chance, knowing we'd had those 3 timeouts and they were going to run the football. So, we knew it was going to come down to probably the final possession of the football game, and they ultimately made one more play than we did in that football game and end up eventually winning it.
Yeah, well, if I remember right. you had that first down, but Ben wasn't out of bounds and come back in and touch the ball. I didn't get a chance to see how far it was. Was it just a foot?
Yeah, it was really close.
Yeah.
When you go back and watch the film, I was watching it late that night as we were on the bus, and I tried to zoom in as best as I could to see, if he was truly out of bounds or not. And it was a judgment call. I mean, it was really close. Ben was wearing white cleats and the sidelines were white, so it was really hard to tell if, his foot was truly out of bounds or not. It was a close call on their sideline. In the GLVC conference, they do not have instant replay, where in our conference we do. So, if I would have had a challenge, that probably would have been a play that I would have challenged just to, again, see and make sure that they had got it right. And, after that, like I said, we had to make the decision to punt and change the field position and put our defense out there with 3 timeouts and try and get a stop to give our offense the ball back.
Now, you mentioned the instant replay. That's a new rule into the RMAC this year. Talk about how that could be a huge benefit for you guys this year.
Yeah, so the NCAA at the Division II level instituted instant replay. The MIAA conference last year was the first conference to institute it. So this year, as coaches within the RMAC, we made the decision to go to the instant replay. So, a lot of it is just based off of views of the camera, because they still use the same cameras that we do to watch film. They don't bring in any extra cameras or extra people for the instant replay. So the way that works is we're allowed 1 challenge per game, only if we have timeouts left. So if we have a potential challenge play and we have a timeout left, we have the opportunity to challenge a play. If we get it right, we get another one. If we get it wrong, then we lose the timeout as well as the challenge flag for the rest of the game. So you kind of got to be, on your toes in regards to where the play's actually happening, the quality of the film, because they go over to an iPad and actually scroll through the film and find that particular play. So, if it's a situation, going back to the Truman State one, if we, feel that their players were close to the field and you couldn't see that, it'd been really hard for them to make a decision, because if it's inconclusive and it's really hard to tell, they can't make a judgment, then whatever the call was on the field stands, and then you lose your timeout. So, yeah, it, again, just gives us a little added dimension to think about as head coaches of what to challenge, when to challenge, and make sure you're using it properly.
Well, you used it in Valley City State, and I guess you're 0 for 1 in instant replays, and it was kind of interesting. They have to go a long ways. It takes a while for that thing to happen. And I kind of mentioned on the air that I think that tent was at Canyon Lake Park, but I wasn't sure if it was quite there. But
like you mentioned, we did challenge a play against Valley City. It was, one of those where because of the film angle and where our receiver had actually caught the ball and the way our wide film is filmed, it made it very hard for the officials to make a true decision on if he caught the ball on or behind the line of scrimmage or in front of the line of scrimmage. So the call on the field was that he was past the line of scrimmage, with them having really no evidence to prove that it was behind or on the line of scrimmage. They had to call it inconclusive, so therefore I lost the timeout and lost the challenge for the rest of the game.
Well, it turned out it didn't hurt you in the game after all, but it's one of those situations where you rely on your assistant coaches to kind of feed you the information on that.
Yeah, and we talk about that a lot is, I trust our people in the box and what they've got. They've actually got a book of what is challengeable, what is not challengeable, and obviously I've read through that, but again, just to have another set of eyes, another set of ears in regards to what the situation is and how things are happening. And again, there's a lot of communication with that, and when we should use it, when we shouldn't. Timing of the game. I look back, and that one even against Valley City is, not necessarily maybe not have been a crucial point in the game because of, where we were at on the field. But sometimes, if you've got great momentum during the course of the game, we felt we were moving the ball up and down the field a little bit. And, again, going back and looking at the decision I made, it's like we were moving the ball up and down the field, and was that, 5 extra yards really worth maybe a 5-minute delay, knowing offensively we were moving the ball up and down the field. So, again, first time, you kind of, you're glad you have it, but there's a lot of other factors that go into it when you're making a decision like that.
So let's talk about your guest here, Jayden Johannsen. Tell us about Jayden.
So today I brought Jayden Johannsen with me. He's a redshirt junior quarterback for us, comes from Sioux Falls, Washington. Really, going into his 4th year within our program. one of our captains this year for us, as well as a member of our leadership council. Very happy with the progress that he's made within our program. Obviously from a numbers standpoint, everybody's been able to see what he's been able to do on the field. This year with new receivers and new skilled guys, been able to make some good connections from that standpoint. But the thing I've been happy with him probably the most, and I don't tell him enough, is just his overall leadership skills, what he's been able to do for us as a program off the field. Like I mentioned, having a new group of skilled kids, he's been able to meet with them before practice, stay with them after practice and work on continuity and consistency within our passing game and really trying to take the younger quarterbacks and younger skilled kids kind of under his wing and get them to, develop in the way we need to. So, great football player, we believe, and obviously a better kid as well. And, those are the things that we look for within our quarterback position.
Well, Jayden, at this point, if you're a Hard Rocker football fan, you're a household name. How does it feel to know that you spent 4 years not only playing for this team, but being a starter for the Hard Rockers?
It's been great. I just love playing football, so every opportunity I get to do that, it's been a blessing, especially get to do it in state, in the Black Hills or a place where I grew up around. So, I'm just super blessed to be in this position and be able to do this.
You have probably one of the most versatile games out there. You can run the ball and you can pass. Where did you find that, and where did you develop that at?
I think I kind of pulled the running out after I got into college. I didn't have to do that much in high school. Throwing the ball, I trained my whole life with Kelly Meeker out of Sioux Falls, and I put a lot of work in that, but I just try to put my team in the best position I can. So whether that's handing the ball off every play or throwing the ball every play, I just run what's called and, try to make the best decision I can.
Well, obviously last year you had two of the top receiving duos in the country, and my feeling was, and Jeremiah Bridges and Isaiah Eastman, and they're both gone, and you're kind of going back to the drawing board. What did you do to, once you knew that you're going to lose both of them? I imagine there's a lot of getting with the younger receivers and saying, hey, we got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, there's some guys in the room that have been around for a while, and, they finally had their chance to play, and that's been great to see. And then it's just, like Coach talked about, spending time after practice, before practice. During the summer, we met every week, and we talked about, we were talking through plays, talking through coverages, all that stuff, just trying to get on the same page and, just be one in that same unit.
Well, it's probably something you can't do overnight, and you're only 2 games into the season. How do you feel like that is going? Obviously, you've got a great transfer in Ben Nolan. He's really been shining this year. But where do you feel like you're at in the passing game right now?
Yeah, I think we're making strides every week. I think we're only going to get better, so I'm very excited to see what we're going to be able to do down the stretch.
Yeah. Well, tell us about what you do off the field. What remind us what your major is, what you have plans after school, and what do you do for fun?
So I'm studying mechanical engineering right now. I'll graduate this spring. I got accepted into the accelerated master's program, so I'll graduate the following spring with that. But outside of football, it's hunting and fishing. I just got into fly tying, actually, so that's super interesting. Not very good at it. Kind of got big, short, fat fingers, so it's not exactly doesn't make it easy, but it's fun. I love the Black Hills. I love the outdoors. So being out here is just, it's awesome.
Well, the fly tying is interesting. That's how Cabela's got started, is that they were tying flies. Maybe you got a store coming up in your mind?
I don't know. We'll see where hopefully this engineering degree takes me somewhere.
Yeah, that might be a little more profitable than fly tying. Yeah. Well, talk about the rest of the season and the RMAC opener this week against Colorado Mesa. These 2 games are important for you guys. This is where the real season begins, I should say.
Yeah, I think it's a pivotal moment for the team. Coming off a loss from a good team. It's homecoming. The atmosphere is going to be awesome. So just to see how these guys are going to respond. I'm very excited for this opportunity, and I know we'll perform.
Talk about the RMAC as a whole, you've gotten to know these teams quite well in the last few years. Is there one team that you look at and go, that's the team I want to beat every single game?
I hate losing. There's not one team. I might want to beat, the trophy games are huge, but, I hate losing more than I like winning. So just every week, just being able to take it game by game and being able to just put my best effort into each game, and not try to look too far ahead to a certain opponent is huge.
Coach, talk about this upcoming weekend. We got Colorado Mesa coming to town, and Colorado Mesa last season, not the greatest team in the world. This season, looks like they made a little bit of a rebound.
Yeah, no doubt. Just kind of piggyback on what Jayden had said is, we've got to prepare every single week for every conference opponent. And, the parity in the RMAC has gotten bigger and better. I mean, you go back and look at, the RMAC and what they've done against some non-conference teams, as well as, you look at Colorado Mesa, they went out to, University of San Diego and beat an FCS team, a team that's coached by Brandon Moore, who was the head coach at Colorado Mines this past year. And, for them to go out and we're probably a big-time underdog, and for them to win 28-21, I think it says a lot about their growth. It's year 2 under Miles and what, he's been able to do and change the culture there at Colorado Mesa. So, our kids are in for a dogfight. It's going to be a tough, competitive game. The thing I'm proud of is our kids have put themselves in a position, for every single football game to be competitive. And, the thing we'll stress tonight at our team meeting is, we've got to be locked in, ready to go. We've have to have a great week of practice. We've got to pay great attention to the details, not only off the field but on the field, and make sure that we have a great practice. The 3 times that we've played Colorado Mesa, the road team has won, and that typically doesn't happen. We've played them on the road 2 years and won, and in 2021 they came up here the last game of the year and beat us. So, we got to stress that we got to take care of our own backyard. We've got one job to do over homecoming. That's really what a lot of people remember is the football game, and our job is to go out and make sure that we finish homecoming week on the right note. So, just driving downtown here to Murphy's, and seeing the Rocker Days signs hanging in downtown Rapid City just reassures me how important of a week homecoming is here in Rapid City. Students were out painting the windows here downtown as well. So, privileged to be a part of homecoming week and what it means to our university as well as Rapid City.
Jayden, obviously with homecoming week and being a student yourself, that's got to be somewhat distracting. Are you planning on taking part in some of the school events happening while getting ready for football?
Yeah, it's definitely a delicate balance, being able to focus on schoolwork, but at the same time, be prepared for a game it's difficult. I mean, being in my 5th year of school now, I've kind of got it figured out to what I can and can't do, and where I can spend my time. So I mean, to me, it's just another week. So I just treat it like that. Treat my game plan the same, watching film and doing schoolwork, and just keep my schedule pretty much the same.
Well, what did you learn, Coach, from as they say, that opener and then that second game, really tells a lot. But did you feel like you learned, improved, a lot in that second game, just, despite the loss?
Yeah, I always feel, and, a lot of coaches will tell you your biggest improvement is from week 1 to week 2. Although it may not look like it on the wins and loss side of things. I felt we did make some big strides, from a defensive standpoint. We got a lot more guys playing time and in some critical situations, offensively, fewer mistakes than what we made week 1. We didn't turn the ball over offensively this past week where, in week 2 week 1 we had 2 turnovers. So, those are the things that I continue to look at within the growth of our football team and knowing, now, like you'd mentioned before, we're starting a new season. Everybody's 0-0 right now, moving into conference play, and everybody's still got the RMAC championship as one of their goals, and it's still achievable for everybody in our league. And it's just now what the process looks like to make sure that we're finishing the week out 1-0 this week, and making sure we're in a position to continue to keep our goals intact.
Well, let's go back to this last game. Obviously, you've got a couple newcomers offensively that are really starting to contribute with Jaden Fry and Ben Nolan. Talk about them a little bit and how they have stepped into this offense now.
I'll start a little bit with Ben. Ben was with us last spring, came from us from Northern State, had quality appearances and reps up there at Northern. Comes from a great high school program. His dad is actually the head coach down in Georgia where he grew up. So, great kid, great football mind, understands the game really well. And I think that's probably the thing where him and Jayden have really gained that connection is the off-the-field side of things and knowing how to read coverages and what they should be doing. So I think that's really helped those two guys out. And then, you mentioned Jalen Fry and him being a grad transfer from Bemidji State, coming from a playoff caliber football team. They've won the Northern Sun the last couple of years, and I think the thing that he's brought to our program is just the maturity of being an older kid, but also being in a program that has taken the next step. The work that we need to continue to do to be in a position like that. But just a great kid off the field. Around our offices all the time. He's constantly helping the younger kids out within our program. He's hungry to be successful, but knows that there's a lot of more learning for our younger kids, and he's able to give that. So, you mentioned those two kids, that have probably been most impactful, but there's been a lot of other guys in our program that have really stepped up their game as well. Ty Harris was a true freshman running back last year, and now him and Jalen have really kind of been a good 1-2 punch. And then you got Max Thomsen, who again was probably our third or fourth receiver last year, but has really stepped up and had some key catches the last couple of weeks, and Mason Goldbruth and Henry Dryden. So I think what that's been able to do is, yes, we brought in some other kids outside of our program, but it's made some of the kids within our program step up and be critical parts of our offense as well.
Yeah. Well, obviously you knew that was going to have to happen this year, and you don't have a lot of seniors this year. So, I mean, these guys can have a good opportunity to step up as young players and move into that leadership role.
Yeah, and, that was kind of forced upon those kids. I'll never forget after the season, we all came back from spring break or from Christmas break, and I brought everybody, up. Who's a senior? Come on up. Who's a junior? Come on up. And I think it was pretty eye-opening in regards to how young of a football team we were going to be, and how much of our younger kids were going to have to step up and be ready to go when their number was called. Even if they were going to be a redshirt freshman or a redshirt sophomore, they were going to really have to push the envelope in their preparation to become an impactful player within our program.
Yeah. Well. Jayden, talk about that a little bit, and what did you see in these younger kids coming up? And obviously you're a leader. You're in a position that, a quarterback, that seems like the quarterbacks are always, in that position. But what did you see in this young group?
Just how eager they were. This summer even, we get together every week, and I got freshman receivers and young quarterbacks text me off the hook like, hey, can you explain this more to me? Like, we're sending them cut-ups and stuff to learn, like, of the offense. Like, hey, explain this to me better. Like, where do you use this or how to use this? Just how eager they were to learn and to get better, and how excited they were to get up here and start playing. That's been a huge thing since I've got here. Just the mentality shift of everybody within the program and all the new guys coming in. It's just they're all super eager. They're very dedicated. They're very focused, and they're ready to play from day one, whether they redshirted or not. They're all ready to go, ready to learn.
Jane, I have one question here for you. What motivates you? What are the things that motivate you to win?
For me, it's faith first and foremost. I find that my relationship with God is growing every day. That's been a big part of my life, especially growing up. I was around the church a lot, but then I had a little bit of falling out, and now finding my faith back again has been great for me. And then also my family, just how supportive they are of me, and how, who they, I've grown up to be because of them. Those are two huge things in my life. And then just my friends and people that I'm surrounded by every day. Just not letting those people down. That's a super important thing to me, and it's a very big motivator.
Well, Coach, talk homecoming again. That ramp's going to be full, and those horns are going to be a honking there. How exciting is that sometimes for you to stand on that sideline in these situations?
Yeah, one of the main reasons, why I wanted to come back and take a job like this, it's a very unique place. There's a lot of positivity within our football program, our athletic department, as well as the school. We have a very strong and proud alumni base, and the longer I've been here, the more I sit back and recognize that. Jayden brought it up in regards to, not wanting to disappoint people. And, like I mentioned before, homecoming is a big deal to a lot of people. And everybody wants to win the homecoming football game. And, I feel that's my responsibility is to make sure our team is in a position not only week in, week out to win a game, but the homecoming game first and foremost. So it's a special place. It's going to be a special week. There's a lot of things that are going on. Our team will partake in the coronation side of things at 7:30 on Thursday night, which I think is important. We're going to present 2 footballs to the homecoming king and queen. And, again, I want our kids to be focused and locked in on the football game, knowing that's our main job. But I also want them to just be students, just be like everybody else and be able to soak in some of the memories because, for most kids, you only get 4 or 5 years to do that at the college level and enjoy college life. So, we want our kids to be focused first and foremost on winning a football game, but also be a college kid and enjoy what homecoming is all about. Saturday morning, they're going to induct some great people into the Hall of Fame from the athletic department, as well as a few teams, and I'm going to try and sneak down there and meet with a lot of those people as well. And then knowing that Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock, O'Hara Stadium is going to be rocking. There's going to be a lot of people there. And then we've got to be focused in for a full 60 minutes and make sure we're coming away with something we all want, which is a win.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Coach, for joining us here again on the Coaches Show for the Hard Rockers. And we will see you on Saturday for the Colorado Mesa game.
All right. Thanks, guys. We appreciate everything you do for our athletic department.
Yep. Thank you, Jayden, as well. And that is Coach Charlie Flohr with the Hard Rockers football team here at Murphy's. So, Richard, I think we still have one more thing to cover, and that's the Athlete of the Week.
That's right. We have the X-Rock Athletes of the Week, and they are Ben Nolan, who we have been talking about from the football team, and Hannah Bennett from the volleyball team. Ben had 12 catches, 152 yards, and 2 touchdowns, including 8 catches, 114 yards at halftime. Hannah led the RMAC this week in serving aces with 10, helping to lead the Hard Rockers to a 3-1 weekend. Bennis also recorded 53 digs, 4.42% to come in third in the RMAC for this week of play, and they are our X-Rock Athletes of the Week.
Thank you very much, Richard. And you can catch this weekend's game on GoRockers.com or on News Radio KOTA 1380 AM and 100.7. 100.7. I couldn't remember the FM. But you can catch the game. Tom Anderson and myself will have the coverage for you starting at 12:50, 10 minutes prior to kickoff on Saturday. Thank you, Richard, and thank you, Josh, as well on the camera. And we'll see you next Monday night for the Hard Rocker Coaches Show live here from Murphy's. Good night, everybody.